Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not responding when someone doesn't use my actual name? My 16M name is Nico and it's not short for anything. On my birth certificate it says Nico middle name last name. This is something a few people can't understand and some people call me Nicholas. Even teachers who see me on the class list as Nico and not Nicholas. I'm a foster kid. I've been in the system since I was 2. My mom is the only bio family I know, but she's not able to take care of me. I see her twice a year through court-ordered visits. But nobody in her family and I don't have anything to do with my paternal side. I've been with my current foster family for 3 years and I'm really happy with my foster parents and foster siblings. My foster parents actually want to help the kids they foster and their kids are cool with their parents fostering and don't bully me or others for stealing their families. So I hope I get to stay until I age out of the system. My only problem is some of their extended family are snobs and they don't like calling me Nico. So they call me Nicholas even after being corrected a million times. My foster parents have explained that my name is actually Nico, not Nicholas. But the reply is always, but Nico is short for Nicholas. A couple of the extended family have encouraged me to change my name because Nicholas sounds much more professional for an adult male, which I will be soon. I was like, no thanks. My foster parents told me I should ignore whenever someone calls me Nicholas now. Unless they're new and just assume. But I can ignore their family members who do it. So that's what I did. I've ignored them a handful of times now and it bothers them so much. Yesterday it happened twice because one kept trying to call Nicholas over and I just didn't go. The other asked Nicholas to pass the potatoes at dinner and I kept eating and didn't pass anything. I was then called out for ignoring them and my foster parents said nobody knew who they were talking to because there was no Nicholas at the table. One of my foster sisters said she assumed it was her Nicole and they got confused and that's why she passed it instead. I was told I should be more open to the wisdom others offer with name suggestions and stop being rude by ignoring people. Even though my foster parents backed me up again. It made me feel a way because this really is my best foster experience and I don't want to piss off people in my foster family. So am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your foster parents sound great and clearly have your interests at heart. Even the other kids, at least one anyway, are standing up for you. Your name is Nico. Not Nicholas. It's extremely rude and disrespectful to deliberately call you by a name that isn't yours, especially with repeated corrections. It's even more rude and disrespectful to practically demand you change your name from something you like and see as yours to something you don't like and don't want. There's also nothing wrong with Nico as a name. Sure, it's not common, but it's not really weird either. Your name is your name and no one else gets to demand it be something different or call you by a name that isn't yours. Keep listening to your foster parents, it's them and their kids you want a good relationship with, not so much the extended family. And if you back down now, the extended family will never respect you and will continue to demand you change things they don't like against your will. Continue ignoring anyone who calls you by the wrong name unless it's an honest mistake. Continue listening to your foster parents and letting them stand up for you. That's part of their job as foster parents, and they're proving they're great at it. Not the a-hole. I'm glad your foster parents have your back. What they told you to do is exactly what I had to do for years. My last name, maiden name, was a very common first name as well. Lots of people would call me by my last name. I would ignore them until they called me either Ms. Last Name, or just by my first name. I guess since I did it as an adult in work settings, I didn't get crap for it like your relatives are doing, but the message was finally received and respected. Not the a-hole, keep ignoring them when they call you Nicholas. However, I would add something, think up a different name for all of the people who keep calling you Nicholas. For example, Aunt Elizabeth is now Aunt Betty. Uncle Thomas is now Uncle Tommy. Even better if you can make it longer instead of shorter, like for example Grandma Rose is now Grandma Rosemary. If they get angry with you, just say, I think these names are much better and easier to say, they will help you in life. You should take advice from someone who is better up to date with modern society. Next story. Would I be the a-hole to ban my son's girlfriend from my house? My 52F son, 22M, has started bringing his girlfriend over a little over a month ago. The first time he brought her over I took it quite formally and cooked up a feast, but it soon became obvious it's becoming a daily thing and not just a one-time formal thing. The first meeting she came quite a bit late and the food was cold by the time she came. No pardons or anything, and when we were done everyone helped to pack up. And we thought she would kind of get the notion, but since it was her first time here we didn't say anything. As for desserts, I like to do this thing. Example, for cupcake I will prepare the icing and everyone would gather and decorate their dessert, but she made it quite clear from the get-go she wasn't interested in it and stuff. So for basically the last month she's almost here daily and she would request for specific dishes with no thanks and stuff. My other son, 17M, has also verbally called him out on her not contributing anything gently, but she said something around the lines of no ring, no wife duties. I don't see this as a wife duty. I would do this for my friends' hangout and everyone in my house put a hand in. My daughters, my husband and my sons. So today when my son told me that she requested a specific meat pie for dinner I am quite done, however I don't want to affect my relationship with my son over this. Especially since he really likes her a lot, but I'm really considering banning her from our dinners. Edit. The reason I have such a big problem with this is because my other children has brought their mates back. My eldest son and his girlfriend is living in my house actually, but none of them have a problem like this. It was almost natural of them to contribute. Also, I don't have a problem with not wanting to decorate, but it's the idea of her not joining in on family. Like movie night and everything, she would just stay in the room alone. Even my son was in the living room. Edit 2. Yes, it was verbally communicated to her that she's expected to help out after maybe a few weeks, but she replied with the no ring, no wife duties ideology. And no, my son isn't able to get his own place. It's expensive and you need to be married to get a house. He can't just move out. Edit 3. As for the people asking about the housing issue, search up Singapore. Top comments. So this girl you barely know is showing up daily, requesting specifics meals but not helping with prep, setting the table, participating in food rituals, decorating desserts, helping clean up, or even saying thanks. You should tell your son she needs to learn some manners and at minimum won't be welcome to family meals until she learns some. Also, the nerve to request a specific meal. Jesus, I've been with my partner for 12 years and only ever requested something from my in-laws when they've wanted to cook me like a birthday dinner and they asked me what I want. Have a chat with your son. Ask him if he is happy with how his girlfriend is treating the family dinners as a restaurant. Maybe set some guidelines of max 3x times per week, must assist with washing up or setting the table. What's on the menu is the menu and you make this menu based on what's on special, in season, etc. You could even start doing a rota of kids take turns in cooking a meal once a week to set themselves up for living on their own, and this includes your son and his girlfriend making dinner one night a week. Not the a-hole. But first, stop acting like her caterer and / or personal chef. Unless she has a food allergy, don't make what she requests. Even then, she can be responsible for bringing her own sometimes food if it's that big of an issue. She really seems to be just leeching off of you. Make what you'd make anyway. She can eat what's available or not. She can reheat her food or eat it cold instead of inconveniencing an entire group. The cupcake thing sounds dumb on her part because that's part of a group activity and partially meant for fun for everyone. The no wife duties should only be applying to their things done between them, unless of course your son never does anything to help or participate either at your house. The biggest thing is, why is your son okay with entire rest of his family being treated this way by someone? That's your real problem. Your son is 22 and an adult. The next time he lets you know his girlfriend requests a specific meal, ask him which night they would like to cook that for the family. If the two of them are eating nightly meals with you, they can be responsible for cooking and clean up 2x/week. Not the a-hole. Otherwise I would make whatever you want and give them the name of a restaurant that makes that dish. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that the house we are gonna build won't have 5 extra rooms for her mom, her 3 brothers and her cousin? Was looking at house plans to submit to the town hall for approval for an acre we own out in Minnesota, for bedroom, 1 for wife and me, 1 for each of our 2 kids, and an extra room as a playroom/game room. Where's my family staying? She already promised them that they would move in with us, and she is now furious that you only care about yourself. What about me? I told her that I didn't agree to that from the start. Now she's looking to sell the land from under me to prove a point, I guess. Info: the land is owned jointly by me and my wife. It was purchased using the life insurance payout we got for the death of our 1-year-old girl in 2021. Between then and now, I got a manufacturing job with a federal government contractor. Her family has no stake or rights to our land. I got a call from the town's registrar about the ownership change inquiries for the land. We actually own 2 parcels, and I offered her to sell 1 parcel to her siblings for market value, but she declined. The house will be paid by me. I told her if her family want, I can do an ADU, but they will pay market value for their rent per room. So, about $900 each. She declined. My current course of action is to transfer my ownership of the land into a trust with my kids as primary owners with express instructions that only direct descendants of me may build and live on the property. Top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm guessing her family would also be a financial burden. Why else would they need to live with you? That many functioning adults should be able to pool together, buy their own land, and build their own house. However, who owns the land? You may be selling it soon to divide the marital assets anyway, if you really don't want your wife's relatives living with you. If the land is in her family or was her inheritance, I'd change my vote. But, if you purchased it together, my vote stands. Info: who actually owns the land? Your wife, you, or is it a joint marital asset? If it's yours, then she doesn't get to tell you what to do with it. If it's hers, then she can sell it if she wants. If it's a joint asset, neither of you can sell it without the other person. My solution is that if it is hers, she can sell it and then divorce her. Don't waste your time building a life to get stuck taking care of her family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom to shut the F up since she's a liar and her opinion doesn't matter? My dad died when I, 18M, was 6. My parents had separated at the time and mom was already dating her husband at that point. They decided to get married and give me a family unit after dad losing dad. Then within a few months they were sitting me down to say they wanted to change my last name to their last name. Mom said it was important so that her husband could do his part to take care of me without issues concerning last names. I told her I wanted to keep my last name and her husband wasn't my dad and I didn't want to lose more of dad. I even cried about how important it was to me. She and her husband promised me repeatedly that they would pay for me to change my name back as soon as I was 17/18, and it was only to make life easier while I was younger and people would make life more difficult for her husband to do certain things with me. I always regretted it but believed for a long time they'd follow through. But about a year ago when I mentioned it to my mom, she told me there was no rush and I told her I wanted the name changed before graduation so I could have it on my diploma. There was a lot of back and forth and her husband decided to add his own "what's the big deal anyway" comments occasionally. He'd also say his name had been my name longer than dad's name had been at that point and I said I didn't care and I wanted my actual name back that was my actual dad's name too. Eventually my mom admitted she wasn't going to pay for me to change it back and she believed I should keep her husband's name because he'd raised me for so long and had done so much. I said no. She told me it wasn't my choice and I told her she would not stop me once I turned 18. I also told her that she was never going to have a good relationship with me again after lying to me and letting me down. She called me overdramatic but I spent the rest of my time living with them cold and somewhat hostile and I shut them out as much as I could. Mom kept, and still keeps, trying. I moved out of their house and in with my cousin and I filed the day after my 18th birthday to change my name back. My court date is coming up very soon and my mom knows about it because of extended family. She has tried to forbid me from changing my last name back and she even lied and said her husband adopted me too so I couldn't. But I confirmed that didn't happen. Eventually she told me I was disrespecting them as my parents. I told her then to shut the F up because she's a liar and I don't care what she has to say about this because her opinion does not matter here. My mom started crying and I told her good. I told her that she lost me over this and it was her own damn fault. I told her I would never have said yes to the change had I known and I told her to suck it up because she was not in charge of me anymore. Some extended family are backing my mom because of how I spoke to her, and mom told me I had no reason to speak to her like I did. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom lied to you from the very get-go. She, and your stepfather, had no intention of supporting your decision. Not the a-hole. She tried to erase your dad by manipulating and outright lying to you. That's not how a good parent behaves. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I'm done with his help around the house? My husband, 34M, and I, 31F, have been together for 8 years and married for 5. We both work full-time, so we've always split household chores. But here's the thing, his version of helping is a nightmare. For example, I'll ask him to help with laundry. He'll agree, but instead of sorting things like delicates or checking pockets, he just throws everything into the washer on one setting. This has ruined clothes and stained things beyond repair. Same thing happens in the kitchen. He helps by making a mess while cooking, but he leaves everything piled up in the sink, and somehow manages to dirty every dish and pan. I've tried teaching him, suggesting easier ways, even leaving little checklists, but he always says he knows what he's doing and dismisses my advice. I end up spending double the time either fixing what he did or doing things over from scratch. And whenever I bring it up, he says he's trying his best or accuses me of being too picky and controlling. This came to a head recently when he helped me by cleaning up our living room right before my friends came over. I thought he'd done a great job, until one of my friends found my birth control pills in the junk drawer because he decided to tidy by throwing everything into random places. I was embarrassed, but when I told him, he laughed it off. So, last night I told him I'm done with his help and would rather just do everything myself if he's not willing to do things properly. He got upset, saying he's just trying to make things easier for me, and now I'm criticizing him for helping. Now he's barely speaking to me, and I'm feeling conflicted. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to stop helping if he can't do things right? Top comments. As others have said, this is weaponized incompetence. His goal was never to help but to frustrate you to the point that you just do it yourself and he no longer is obligated to contribute. There are a few ways to handle this, but my suggestion would be that since he wants to help his way, you let him handle things on his own. But only things that affect him. Don't do his laundry. He refuses to separate things or wash them on proper settings. Then you wash your own clothes and he can sort out his laundry on his own. He dirties every pot and pan in the house when he makes dinner. Then you have separate meals that you are responsible for cooking and cleaning up after. He surely lived on his own at some point, correct? What did he do when he was on his own? Wear ruined and stained clothes, and wash every pot and pan every night after dinner? I bet he didn't. He's doing things like this now because he has you. When things start affecting him directly, and you aren't coming in behind him to fix it, I bet he'll stop being so helpless. Opie replies. I might start doing that, but I will feel petty. Don't let him off so easily. Sit down and discuss every aspect of a chore in writing if necessary, so there can be no misunderstanding of what's expected, or I'm only trying to help whining. Weaponized incompetence is a great way of getting out of work. Don't fall for the purpose of it. You do it so badly, so I'll do everything crap. You are the a-hole to yourself if you let him get away with it. Not the a-hole. However, you did exactly what he wanted. His strategy was weaponized incompetence. He intentionally did a bad job, until you stopped asking him to help do his part as a member of your household. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.